Carla, thank you ever so much for coming along to be on the podcast today. Today, I've got with me a little intro we've had before, and this is Carla Berlin, and she's from Carla's Classrooms. And Carla's agreed to come on to talk to me today, which I'm delighted to have you here with me today.
My pleasure.
The first question I ask everybody through the doors, I don't even give them a chance to get comfortable, Carla. We just go straight for it. This series is called Are You the Perfect Parent? And that's the first question I put to everybody. Carla, are you the perfect parent? I'm smiling. People can't see that if they're on audio. I'm smiling because I don't know what Carla's going to say.
Well, the fact that my hair's in a wrap and hasn't been done today probably answers the question in itself. No, and it doesn't exist. I mean, I'm pretty good, I'd say, because you know me, Liz, I blow my own trumpet. So I'm consistent, but no, definitely not perfect. I just don't think there is one out there.
It's
You
this
know,
funny thing, isn't it? I think that I don't know where it comes from, and each of the guests that I've had on, we've kind of talked about it. Is
yeah.
where does that come from? Where do we get this sense of having to be the perfect parent?
And
Where does
honestly,
it
I
come
thought I
from?
would be. I really did.
I love
No,
that. I thought I would
no.
be.
Honestly, I did, and I had really set goals to achieve that as well. Like even before got pregnant, I knew what I thought the perfect parent was going to be,
Yeah.
and I thought I'd be it. And probably 4 hours into parenting, I thought, hell no.
You know, do you know what my question was then going to be? When did you realise that wasn't going to happen? 4 hours.
Literally, I looked at her in the hospital like that. I thought, yeah, this ain't gonna happen. This isn't for me. That was me.
This isn't for me. So you were like, I'm tapping out.
Oh my gosh. I knew straight away that this was gonna be extremely hard work. I
What
just
made you? What happened in those? I mean, I laugh and say those 4 hours, but what happened? Did something happen?
no, she was sitting there in that, clear through crib that they put
Yeah.
them in next to
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
bed. And I thought, that's mine for life. I just kept looking at her and thinking, I've, I'm responsible for her for absolutely forever. And I just thought that all the because I used to childmind before that.
Yeah.
And I was pretty good. I used to, honestly, I taught the children sign language. I used to do baby massage before they go to bed. And I just thought, oh my God, I used to write in their little books and hand it back to mum. I did all the baby classes. And I thought, oh my God, I'm so good. Yeah, I had them back at 6 o'clock and had weekends off. And then I suddenly realised right then, there's no handing back.
This
I have
one's
to
here to
make all the
stay.
decisions. Yeah. And it was honestly straight away, I was thinking, oh no, I'm not ready.
So it
Oh,
really hit you, as
oh, it
in,
hit me straight away. And I'd already decided, like I made plans with my mum. I said, I'm not doing nappies. I'm doing a nappy service where, they come and they clean them. I'm not doing disposable nappies. It's bad for the environment. I'm not doing
yeah.
dummies. Day four, get to the chemist and get me a dummy. It all went out the window. I'm not doing bottle feeding. I lasted about breastfeeding. Honestly, when the nurse said to me, because I was on antibiotics, you can't breastfeed, it was the best news I'd ever heard. I hated it. I, I was just
You
like,
really had this, a true sense of this perfect parent was to breastfeed, all these nappies, and I remember that thing about dummies. I was told, if you use a
yeah,
dummy, they're going to have speech and language difficulties, so you can't use a dummy.
yes,
And I had my eldest would just cry and cry. Going back
yes,
now, big mistake.
yeah. Honestly, day four, my mum was down that chemist. I was going to get every type available. Uh, Izzy would walk round, three in her hand, two rubbing her nose like that. She had them until she was about two and a half. You know? Yeah, so no, definitely not the perfect parent.
Okay. So thinking about parents, I suppose, Carla, and looking back into your childhood, what did your family look like? What was your setup in your family?
So, my family's quite different in the sense of I was raised by my mum and I would, well, I say he's my stepdad, but I live with my stepdad from when I was 18 months.
Okay.
So he is my dad. And it sounds bad, but I kind of forget that I have another dad.
Yeah.
Um, and then my stepbrother came to live with us when I was 2. So I have him, and then I still kind of saw my real dad up until I was 7.
Yeah.
Uh, wasn't close to him at all. At that point, I had 2 siblings, 2 half siblings who I really did like. And I was quite close to them, but then didn't see them again. And then I happened just to go to college, and then this girl kept staring at me. And I thought, well, she kept staring at, I'm going to knock her out. And then, true me. And then she went, is your name Carla? And I was like, yeah. And she went, oh, I'm your sister. And I hadn't seen her since that time. Yeah,
Wow.
I know. And then by that time, there was 5 of us. And we're super, super close. So altogether, I have 7. There's 7 of us altogether now.
Yeah. And of the
Um,
seven then, Carla, which one, how many are they're half? No,
yeah,
step
they're half brothers and
half
sisters.
brothers and sisters.
Yeah, and
Oh,
we're all really, really close. So it's quite odd to be as close as we are.
yeah.
And there's complete hierarchy. So my elder sister, who's only older by 1 year, we call her the matriarch. Um,
Okay.
and it's proper Jamaican where there is like what she says goes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And she rules the roost. And it's very Jamaican in that sense.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that side is very different to how my mum and my stepdad's side is. Still very Jamaican.
Yeah.
My mum's mixed, so my grandma's white. So I'm
Yeah.
very culturally diverse, but really I would say I've been brought up very English, but very black English.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
very like my grandparents are very like proud to be British, very proud to be white. But always lived in Coulsdon, so
Yeah.
always been the only black child at the school. But culturally, my parents were very young. My mum was 19 when she had me. So, we always went to parties really late and stuff like that. We was out as a 7-year-old, we was out partying until 6 o'clock in the morning, and
Yeah.
it was just culturally what we did.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's been interesting. So as a child, it was very, yeah, the black community and all my mums and dads and family, they parented us as well.
Mm.
It was like you got told off by somebody else's nan as well, and that was just the done thing. Like you behaved, if they smacked you, they smacked you, sort of thing. My mum didn't like it because she had the white side more in her. Um, but yeah, my dad was stricter than my mum.
Yeah.
But if she gave you the look, she gave you the look.
Yeah.
God, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so yeah, I had kind of a strict upbringing.
When
Um,
you say strict, Carla, what did that look like? What did a strict upbringing look like for you when you were younger?
so we weren't allowed like friends round to the house or stuff like that.
Yeah.
And homework was just always done. I never really questioned my parents. Like if they said something, you just like children were seen and not heard.
Mm.
Had to be upstairs by like 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Like, because dad needed to relax or whatever. Um, it was just, yeah, what your parents said goes sort of thing,
Yeah.
you know.
And I
It,
feel like that as well. I think, my mum and dad, more so my dad probably than my mum,
yeah.
was really strict. And both my parents are ex-head teachers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And my dad, they both got the teacher voice. You know the teacher
Yes.
voice? Yeah, they
Yeah.
both got the teacher voice where you go,
Yeah.
and my dad was super strict. So there was like, yeah, there was no discussion with my dad. It was, I say no, there is no discussion. I don't have to tell you why I'm saying
Yes.
no.
Exactly
It's
that.
no. And if you dared argue,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we had something
Yeah.
very strict.
Absolutely. So, like, my mum's thing would be, for instance, if I even dared to answer back, I'd come home. Like, I had a privileged upbringing, like, so I had like TVs in my room, videos in my room, the latest computer and stuff like that. If I even dared to answer back or anything, on the very rare occasions, she would take like the fuses out the plug. So I could sit there and look at it for the next 3 months.
Couldn't use it.
I couldn't use it, and she would take it out of everything, my lamp, everything. So I'd have to put the big light on, because I used to hate the big light. So, she'd be like that. And if I was grounded, she would ground to the hour. So like one time I wanted to go to a party and I was like, oh, grounding's over, I can go to this party. And she let me get ready, everything to go out. And then she said, and I got to the door and said, oh, yeah, Catherine's dad's picking me up at like 6 and we're going everything. And I got there and she went, where are you going? And I said, I'm going to the party. And she went, yeah, your grounding don't finish till 9, though, does it? Because I grounded you 3 months ago at 9 p.m. But she let me get ready until that time. And that's what she was like. And there was no point even arguing. I just said, yeah, I'm not going. And just got undressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
What's she like as a parent now, though?
soft as anything.
It's changed.
Yeah. But she was really good in the fact that I could talk to her about anything still, though.
Okay. Yeah, yeah,
Very, very open.
yeah,
So I knew like one time I lied and bunked off and like gone to meet these American exchange students in London, and they'd end up starting to play strip poker, and I just wasn't comfortable
yeah,
at all.
yeah,
And I just went downstairs to the hotel and I didn't know how to get home. I didn't know where I was. And I just phoned her and she went, don't worry, I'm coming to get you. And there was no discussion. There was no that I'd lied or anything. She was absolutely fine about it
yeah. And
because,
you knew, obviously, at the
yeah,
moment you called her, you knew that you could do that and
I
that she
absolutely
would
knew I
help you.
could. Yeah. And things like that, she was brilliant. Like I never felt I don't even I knew I wasn't being allowed to do that, obviously, so that's why I lied. But
Yeah,
I always knew that if I was in trouble or I felt my friend was in trouble or I needed advice, that I could always go to my mum.
yeah.
And um and once I'd left school, we had a brilliant relationship. And I have a really good relationship with my dad now. Like, you know, we had a huge Barney once and then we sorted it out. Because he was so strict. And I said, it's not going on to the next generation. It's not happening with my daughter. And he
There
said,
was
okay,
something in you that recognized that actually I don't want to repeat this.
yes.
Okay.
And then he said, I will prove to you I'll be the best granddad ever. And he stuck to it. And he's been phenomenal. And we've just got a really strong relationship now. And
Yeah.
I just think forgiveness is a massive thing, He was learning his way. And as you get older as a parent yourself, you realize you don't know what you're doing.
Mm.
And he was a young parent, with two really young kids, and he was finding his way as well, And I just I respect it. I really respect that he said, "Yeah, I messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now I'm changing." And just to hold your hands up and say that is a really massive thing as a parent, I think.
It's huge, that, isn't it? And
Yeah.
when I look back as well at our parents, in a way, I feel for us, and the generations now is that there's loads more information available for us.
Oh, there is.
But when you look back at our parents, and we're of a similar age, you and I, when
Yeah.
you look back at our parents, is where did that they didn't have that. They
No.
you either learned from your mum and dad
Yeah.
and or your experience of being parented, or you kind of just picked it up or you were
Yeah.
winging it.
And
Whereas I
we
think
talk
now
more
with
as well, don't we, amongst ourselves,
yes,
like friends. Like now you
yes,
can say, oh, you would never admit that you're not coping as a parent before either.
yeah, 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 yeah,
You just wouldn't have done it.
yeah. So
And
for your dad to then be able to say, I'm really sorry.
yeah, it was just such a huge milestone. And my mum said to me something that was really poignant with me once. She just said, every year I'm learning, Carla. So she went, you know, I've never been a parent of a 33-year-old. And even like now, she said, I've never been a parent of a 50-year-old.
Yeah,
So, and I'm still learning that. I don't know what that means. So, I'm still every year, I've got something to change. So, it's all new to me all the time.
yeah,
Oh my God, that's so true. And now, like Isabella's 23, it's still difficult.
yeah.
You know, Does it get easier?
We have conversations, don't we, a lot? We're just,
Yeah.
oh. And I look to you going, Carla, is it going to get easier? And you go, no.
No, it doesn't. The problems just get bigger.
Yeah, so I'm looking to Carla for support, and she just goes, yeah, no, sorry. But then we do end up having a laugh, don't we? And I think that's what
We
you do
do.
get, isn't it, with other parents, is that you can
Yes,
kind of go, oh,
I
this
know.
happened, and it can have been a really awful day. But actually, when you get with other parents that get
It really
it
helps.
does really help, doesn't it? And you can find a comedy moment in it somewhere.
Oh, you can.
Laughter and humour has to
You
come into
really
it, I think,
can.
quite a lot.
I know. And I think that's when you really like empathize with your parents as well.
Yeah.
You know, because you just think they were so moody and so unreasonable. And
Yeah.
then you go, oh, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I maybe have been a bit unreasonable myself. I may have been a bit selfish as a child. You know, don't
But
you?
well, I
So,
suppose thinking about where you are now. So your
mm,
family set up at the moment. So there's you at home, isn't there, with your daughter and your partner.
yeah. So,
So I suppose my next question is to you is how does that kind of work for you? Because I suppose you've had this experience from your parents.
yeah. And then
And
I've
then I
repeated it.
also need to put a pin in it because I need to kind of talk about your experience work-wise as well, because that
Oh,
has
what?
an
Yeah.
impact. So you've had your experience of being parented by your parents, and then obviously you've got Izzy, and you've got your partner, and then you've got this kind of the different cultural backgrounds and your different experiences of
Yeah.
parenting, but also add into that as well, which is now more and more common in, I'm a single parent,
Yeah.
that you've also got a partner who is in a step parent role.
Yeah. So
Talk to us about that experience, Carla.
so that's been, I mean, I'm really lucky that Izzy took to my partner really quickly. So he came along when she was 7, um, and she liked him instantly. So I was so fortunate with that, really fortunate.
Mm.
And her dad is really easygoing, so he just leaves everything to me, and was just happy with Austin. So it was like fine. So in that way, we don't have any issues. All our families get on. But what was really apparent was culturally with parenting, we're quite different. So he's white, and obviously I'm black, and I'm quite strict. Well, he finds me very strict compared to what he is. So he doesn't find having a messy bedroom and things like that ever a problem. And he thinks the things that I ask Izzy to do, like, well, why does she need to wash up? She's got years to wash up. Do you know what I mean? And I just think it's you're teaching your child how to live.
Mm.
So I just like, when they suddenly tidy their bedroom and suddenly your wash basket is completely full, and
Yeah.
you're just like, are you taking the mick sort of thing? Um, and then I said, right, I'm buying her a wash basket and you can do your own washing. And he's like, why would a child do their own washing? I was like, she's 13, 14. She can easily do her own washing and then she'll learn how annoying that is and stay on top of it. And he thought this was just outrageous behavior from me, sort of thing. And I just thought, wow. So we have to navigate things like that, that he thinks this is like child torture in a way,
Yeah.
like. But, and the things like, her job is to pack the dishwasher and empty it. She has to do that every day and wipe the kitchen sides down. I've cooked dinner. I don't think it's anything afterwards for her to clean the kitchen down and pack it after I've cooked. Honestly, he thinks, oh, she's been at school all day, you know, oh, she's had a really tiring day. I remember being a teenager and it's really tiring. You've been at work all day. We've been at work all day. And honestly, Izzy used to swim as well. And I know it was tiring for her, but we've taken her swimming. We used to get up at 4:45 every morning, take her swimming, take her to, then she'd be at school, then go to work, then take her back down to swimming. One of us would take her back down to swimming. So we'd be out from 4:45 in the morning, not get back into 9:15. And he's saying that she's tired opening, emptying the dishwasher. well, we're tired, sort of it. And to me, she has to give thanks for doing that. So culturally, we used to clash. And then he kind of saw the merits in it, that you're teaching responsibility and giving thanks. Because when she went to university, she could just handle herself. She knew about budget. Um, and at first, he thought I was very open with her about stuff. So if we were going through a tough patch financially or stuff, I
Yeah,
would sit her down and say, sorry, you can't have the latest swimming costume because dad and I can't afford it. And I would show her the bills. This is this. This is
yeah,
what this costs. The rent's gone up, blah, blah, blah. And she'd go, okay, then. Because I think it's a good thing for them to have a sense of what things actually cost and what we're going through. And he goes, you can't put that pressure on a child. They don't need to know that sort of thing.
yeah,
Whereas I think they do, because that's the real world.
yeah,
And then they get a sense of it. They, they can't just go into Waitrose all the time and put everything in the basket. I, to me, that's just wrong.
yeah.
And they have to know when things are a treat. Whereas he just thinks, let them put everything in the basket and we'll worry about it the next day because that's what they deserve.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And especially being the step parent, he doesn't like to say no.
I was going to ask that, kind of
Yeah.
is when, and also I suppose is that when you had one opinion and he had one opinion, and obviously he's been around in Izzy's life for a long time,
Yes.
is I want to say the word who won, but I don't want to say who won, but as in,
Yeah.
how is it then decided?
So it took a while. We've always been quite good at coming together. But
Yeah.
what happened for a long while was he was the good parent and I was the bad parent. And I hated it because it's
And
not
that's
fair.
really hard.
Yeah. And I didn't want to be the bad parent all the time because I said, I don't want to be the one that just does the discipline all the time. And you're the good parent that buys all the gifts, says yes all the time,
Yeah.
because it's not right. So, as much as you will say you're sitting there and you'll agree with me, but you're being silent agreeing with me, and that's not right. You have to discipline sometimes. So, and he says, I find it really hard being the step parent. I said, but you're not doing the step parent role. So, she calls you dad, she sees you as dad. So the good thing is though, when he does speak up, oh, it has effect. So
Okay.
yeah. So if he says, don't speak to your mum like that, you better go and apologise now. Or he says, I'm not happy with your behaviour, Izzy. It hits her hard. And she
But he
really,
doesn't usually say anything.
yeah,
Yeah.
she doesn't like it. And I go, ha, 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 you got told off by dad. Ha, ha. But I'm really childish.
You're really mature about it
Yeah,
then.
really mature. I love it. And he's got much better, but it took about 5, 6 years. It
Yeah.
was a long time. It took a long time. And it was a sticking point in our relationship.
Yeah.
And he still spoils her too much now. Like to me, I've got my parent in me. Whereas if you're old enough to go somewhere, you're old enough to get yourself there. I'm not coming out of my house at 9 o'clock at night to drive you somewhere. It's not happening. You're 23 now.
Yeah.
That's what Uber's for. You can pay for it. You're working and everything. Dad, my hair's gonna get frizzy if I go, and it's really good laying good. Oh, that is weird. No, we're drinking wine. Why are we not drinking so we can drive her at 9 o'clock at night? We could start drinking at 7. That to me is just like, all right, because her hair's gonna get frizzy. No, that's your issue. But he'll sit there not drinking because his baby, no. And that to me is just that's not happening. But he'll do that. He'll drive her down to Brighton.
Yeah.
What? Because she does it like I don't like that train time. I'll have to wait for half an hour for the connection. Well, unlucky. But yeah, so we have bits like that. Like sometimes she go, Mum, and she goes, Oh, don't worry, Dad.
Oh, because she recognises you're going to say no.
Yes. So, but in another way, I love their relationship.
Yeah.
I love that they've got that together and they're cooking in the kitchen together and they're laughing and so I just have to
I wonder whether actually he gets something from it. I know you kind of we're laughing, but
yeah,
actually, especially when they get a bit older and they don't need us so much,
yeah,
um, is how you can still get that time.
Together, and I suppose I know he works and
yeah,
she. Um, so I suppose if she goes, you drop him down to Brighton, he thinks, oh, that's an hour in the car with her.
Absolutely.
Enjoys the time with her,
No,
actually.
that's a big thing with it. He lights up when she walks in the room. They're much more similar in personality than me and her are in
Okay.
a way. Um, so another thing, it works because if Austin and I clash in the way we argue, she can see the way he'll see it. And she went, Mum, you're approaching it wrong because you're going blah,
Okay.
blah, 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 blah. This is the way it's done. But Dad thinks of it like this. And you need to go, I know you do, da, 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 da. So she does like the gay arguments. I'll go, right, I know you see it. And it does squash everything.
Yeah.
So, it has its benefits. And
Yeah.
he has mellowed me as a parent and made me a better parent because there's certain things I was really, really strict on. Like, she never had any sugar at all until she was 8 years old.
Mm.
And when I mean no sugar, I mean even in her cereal, she never had so if she had Ready Brek until she was 8 every single day of her life, and I put fruit puree in it until she was 8 because she wasn't allowed a single thing. She never had a fizzy drink, she never had a sweet, she never had a slice of cake, a biscuit, nothing.
Mm.
Um, And just remember, he went to KFC, and she'd never had fast food until we came in. And she was walking up to the door, and she was like this, really slowly, and she was sucking on the drink like this. And I go, "What's in that cup?" And he went, "Coke." And she never had it before, and she was drinking that so quickly. I was like, "She's not allowed Coke." And he was like, "Well, why not?" I was like, "Because I don't give her fizzy drinks." And he went, "Carla, she swims 5 times a week." And she was like 8. He goes, "She swims 10 hours a week.
Yeah.
What is a bit of sugar going to do?" And I thought, well, it's true, really. And then I just relaxed the diet because
So
it's
where did that
balanced.
come from? Where did that no sugar come from? Because you must have thought I'm doing the right thing. Because
Yeah,
you would have thought I'm doing the right thing for my child here. You were
yeah.
obviously thinking this is the best thing for her. Where did that come from? You thinking? Did you have a period when you were younger as a kid where mum and
Oh,
dad?
my mum was obsessed with my diet. So I
Okay.
had a really strict diet. Um, Yeah, it's just healthy eating, I think. And I just
Yeah.
took it to the extreme. I'm a bit like that.
Yeah.
I'm just like, no, you can't eat that. No, you can't do that. Additives aren't good for children. So,
Yeah.
I won't put additives in, you know, even like toilet. Oh, I said about the nappies earlier. Izzy was toilet trained from 3 months. So I put her on a potty from 3 months old.
Wow.
Yeah. Um, because my mum took me traveling to Africa when I was really young. And people used to say to me, like, that's child cruelty. And I was just like, well, people don't have nappies in certain countries. You don't use them.
Yeah.
So they're toilet trained. And because my mum did it, and I was toilet trained very young, I just did the same thing with Izzy. So
So
she
your
was out.
mum took you to Africa when you were tiny.
Yeah, yeah,
What? Was she traveling or something? What?
yeah. She just met
Wow.
someone in the African army and decided to follow him. So that's my mum for you. So So I was toilet trained really young, and I just thought, yeah, I'm going to do the same.
Mm.
So we used to just take the potty out. Izzy would go, and she was out of nappies day and night by 11 months.
Wow.
Yeah, and even then she could have gone out sooner, really, because she just
Mhm.
wouldn't ever wet in her nappy. She would just wake up after a sleep. I'd put her in on the potty. Everyone, like anybody looked after her, they would use the potty, take it out. Like Dad would put her on the potty and whatever, take it. But it was just a reaction. So there was things that I'd do that was rather extreme. I'd chosen her school. Visited all schools by the time she was like 6 months old. Put her down for a school.
So you were preparing.
Oh yeah, I was like, when I said this perfect parent, and I knew she
Yeah.
was going to private school. I'd already saved for what it was going to be. Um, so I had the idea of what a perfect parent was.
Yeah.
Got some bits wrong, right, and some bits very wrong. Yeah. So I was very prepared for what I wanted to do.
Yeah. 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 And I suppose I'm just thinking as well. I know. your kind of family makeup, are there any
Yeah.
diagnosis in your background, in your family?
Yes. So this is so strange. So you know I work in SEND and
Yeah,
whatever. So it wasn't until Izzy got to university
yeah,
that she really struggled at university and just couldn't get on at university at all. And her mentor is one of the leading I can't remember her name now. I should have looked it up, but she's written loads of books on autism and like a leading expert in it. And she messaged me and she went, "You do know that Izzy's autistic, don't you?" And I didn't, which is considering I work with autism is really embarrassing. And it was like a light bulb went in over my head. And I was like, how do I not know that? And I was just like going, oh my God, it's unbelievable. And one, I think it's because she was a girl.
yeah,
I didn't spot it.
yeah,
Two, because she went to private school and they just made every allowance going for her.
yeah,
So Izzy was very fanatical about her diet and food because she was a champion swimmer.
yeah.
Um, she was like British, English champion and stuff like that. So she was very fanatical about what she ate. Um, the school the chef used to just cook a special diet for her. So obviously that wouldn't have happened at a state school.
Oh,
So things like that. If she got tired in school, she was because it had a boarding element to her school, she was just allowed to go and sleep or go and see the nurse and
mm,
they just let her miss her lessons and sleep and catch up. She
yeah.
had a different timetable. She did different lessons. So from year seven, she didn't do the same lessons as everybody else. She never did languages. So the fact that she said, I don't like languages, they let her just drop languages and she would do her homework during the languages lessons so she could swim during the evening.
They made huge kind of
Oh, huge.
adaptations for her.
Yes. So no,
Wow.
every time she had a little, what we would have classed as a meltdown about something,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it was just done. So, she used to get tummy aches. She was allowed to walk around with a hot water bottle strapped down, which was a stress thing. She had um, a counsellor on site at the school. The counsellor said, I really think she needs CBT. Arranged for her to go to St George's Hospital and have a proper, oh, what's it called?
Like a therapist or
Yeah, but
psychiatrist?
yeah, psychiatrist. So a proper psychiatrist within weeks got her through to a proper psychiatrist, which made her look at her routines, made her look at her friendship groups, all the things that she struggled with, made a huge difference to our family life and things that were really, really difficult. And I think her rigidness and the things that, because she's an only child also, her what I say were her quirks. They were just Izzy's quirks, and we just lived with them.
Yeah, yeah,
And all her routines and her special interest was her swimming, and she'd done it since she was 5, and it was all channeled into that. And we travelled the country. We trained with all the special things. She got up at 4:45 in the morning. She would skip for hours on end. She'd watch YouTube videos on the swimming you know, Adam PT. She's trained with Adam PT. She's done it all. And so it was all hidden in that one sport. And it was only when she stopped swimming that she then unraveled.
ah.
And
And
that's
so
when,
for swimming, other autistic people might have special interests, but they would be like,
yes,
people go, oh, that's a special interest.
yes,
And and like you say, it had been kind of wrapped up and hidden in this swimming that was
absolutely.
more kind of acceptable, maybe.
Yeah, a hundred
Or
percent. 100%. And because she then did it at school and she was seen as the
yeah.
champion and she was celebrated and her pictures were all over the wall.
So then it was encouraged.
Yes. So it's just like, so we didn't really think anything of it, We were going to the
Yeah.
British champs. She was a thing. She was on the Olympic pathway. It's just like kind of normal. And so
Mm,
many swimmers or elite athletes have ADHD or autism. So we were around it all the
yeah.
time. So we didn't even
Mm,
really think about it. She was around quirky people. who were manic about stuff, had the specialist diet, had these real training routines.
Yeah.
Or, she never wanted to go to parties because she had to be in bed by 10.
Mm.
All her friends were exactly the same. So
Takes
it was,
a special mindset, doesn't it?
yes,
To be an athlete at that level, not anyone
absolutely.
can do that.
No,
It takes a real and a lot of what people might perceive that you miss out on things.
yes,
The person that does it feels they do, but I
yeah,
think that's more important to them. But
yes,
I can totally see how that kind of could be wrapped up as a special interest
totally. It
and
was.
not seen really as a special
Yeah.
interest.
And when I think about who made it in her club and who didn't,
Mm,
it was really the autistic swimmers and the ADHD swimmers because they took it to the extreme. They
mm,
listened to mindset videos, they watched the YouTube videos over and over again. They turned up for all the swimmers, they watched their diet. And it
yeah,
and now thinking back on it, I can see what she did was extreme and was just to another level and totally autistic. But
yeah, yeah,
but to me, it was just like she's dedicated.
mm,
She's just
yeah,
dedicated. And obviously her sports coach was going, she's just got something that nobody else has got, and that's how I took it.
mm,
And people were coming from America to see her. She got, a scholarship offer in America and stuff like that. So I wasn't even focusing on maybe this is a bit too much.
mm, yeah.
It's a hyper focus. I wasn't even thinking. But
But I suppose what's interesting is that you talking about the fact that school, which we know can be a big stressor for
yes,
our autistic kids,
yeah,
um, that they were accommodating, they were
yeah,
making those adjustments for her,
yeah,
and that was a supportive place for her.
yeah,
Then she's got her special interest, which she can be involved in and enjoy
yeah,
and love, and people want to talk to her about it.
yeah,
So then life must feel pretty good, and it shows actually that
yeah,
when you get the environment right,
absolutely.
it can be amazing.
Yeah.
But like you said, then when the swimming then dropped off, that's when
Yeah.
things became more difficult for her.
Totally. And she just unraveled at a rapid pace
Wow.
and then just had complete burnout and her body just stopped to the extent that she came out in um, hives, covered in total hives where she had to have treatment every 4 weeks for it. Completely, her immune system just shut down. And she had to leave university. It was complete burnout.
Yeah.
So
I suppose
yeah,
for you, that's quite, you know, for my son, when I found out about him, he was much younger.
yeah.
But for you to kind of understand more about Izzy, that's come a lot later for you, much
It
further down the
it's
line. Izzy's now
much
20.
later, much so it's been the friendship groups has always been tricky,
Yeah,
but I've always put that down to she's not been in the lacrosse team, she's not been in the netball team,
yeah,
so she's not had those bonds at school because she's always competed at the weekend. So she's not been at the school as much
yeah,
because she's not hung around after school.
mm,
And she's not been on social media as much because she's at the pool and there's no service at the pool. Um, so her swimming friends have always been her friends. She's so blunt with their responses.
yeah. I wonder whether that's changed something for you, is that you've now got kind of a way to see her and understand her
Oh,
now that you
absolutely.
know, whereas before
Yeah. I
it's
tell you what's made a real difference is understanding PDA.
yeah,
Because I really used to clash with Izzy a lot because she used to just go from 0 to 90 for no reason for simple requests. I'm going, what's going on? Why does everything upset you so much?
yeah,
And then once I understood like PDA, and I just treat her like she's got PDA now,
yeah,
whether she's got it or not. And I just phrase everything in that way. So if I want her to even remind her that she's got like clean the bathroom or something, I say, don't forget the bathroom needs to be cleaned. I don't care if you do it now or later tonight, as long as you do it by the time you go to bed,
yeah,
no arguments. But if I just said, don't forget you want to clean the bathroom, because it's a demand.
yeah,
And it's like it's not on her thing. It's instantly her shackles go up.
yeah, yeah.
And she's very demand avoidant, and it feels like I'm encroaching on her time. She's not made plans in her day for that. She's thought about, I'm watching anime, I'm writing a report on this, I'm researching something on something she's researching on, and she doesn't know how long that research is going to do. And so if I've told her she's got to do it within this time frame, she can then make allowances when it's going to
Keep
go.
plans when it will
Yes.
happen.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's different. But if I just say go and do that now, that totally throws her out.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know,
If you were to go back, Carla, and to your younger self when you were a young mum or had maybe younger kids,
yes.
um, what would you say to yourself when you went back there? What piece of advice would you give yourself?
I'd say go easier on myself.
Yeah,
So I would definitely say, one, don't try to be a perfect parent.
yeah,
Like, I think sometimes I can be quite tough on Izzy. Um, like before I got into teaching and before this, I was kind of worried about the outside world and sort of what image I'm getting
yeah,
off
yeah,
and
yeah.
just
What they
going to
would
get it
think.
right
Yeah,
and what her grades were going to be.
yeah,
And, you know, I was really focused on her being a grade A student.
yeah.
And I don't really know why.
Yeah.
Just like, because I'm not a grade A student. Her
Do you
dad's
think
not.
there's a cultural element to that, Carla?
Oh,
That
100%.
yeah, that you
100%.
would be that you're treated differently.
Yeah, definitely. Because, like, I think I just remember being going to a school and I was 6 or 7 and I just moved to this school and being made to sit on a stool and the teacher saying to me like, right, now because you're black, you're going to be expected to fail and I'm not having a child fail, a black kid fail in my school. So you're going to have to work really hard all the time because you're not going to get the same opportunities.
Yeah,
So that's how it's going to be for you. So I'm going to push you, push you, push you, push you. And I remember at 6 going, you know, I just wanted to go and play on the playground with the other children. It was just like so intense for me.
yeah,
And I just felt so, I just remember, even now, I remember the size of the classroom, the teachers seemed massive.
yeah,
And, you know, and I think I'd always got that message that I've always going to have to work harder. I'm always going to have to achieve more.
yeah,
Um, and I think because of that, I've always had that for Isabella.
yeah,
I've always been quite a pushy parent, um, and I wish I hadn't been.
yeah,
And it was only once I got into kind of teaching, and I don't know why, because I went into dancing. You know, her stepdad's a footballer.
yeah,
Her her actual biological dad like does amazing cocktails and does TV shows and stuff like that. We're all
yeah,
creative,
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
know, and that's what I love.
yeah,
And I wanted to go into art. So I don't know why I was so fixated on this. You have to get this, you have to get this, you have to go to private school.
yeah.
Because it's not who I really am as
Did that
well.
come from mum and dad, or do you think it was that teacher in your head from when you were 6?
I think it's a teacher from when I
Yeah.
was 6. So my mum and dad were quite laid back. I mean, they took me to Jamaica for 3 weeks without my textbooks at the start of my GCSE. So it's definitely not from them.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's just, yeah, just a bit. And then once I became a teacher and I saw all the levels of pushy parents and different types of parenting, and I just thought, oh my God, just ha being happy. A happy child is just worth its weight in gold. And then that's all I wanted.
Yeah,
And I'm really glad I became a teacher just to see the different levels that there are of like of parenting,
yeah,
because that I think has been the best lesson I've had in life
yeah,
is to see so many different parenting styles.
yeah. And I
And
think,
then
go
none,
on.
there's some that are wrong. I'm not going to say there aren't because there some are wrong, you
Yeah,
know. I've worked in some tough schools in
yeah.
Croydon and stuff, and you know, and worked with gang members and stuff like that. So
But even with those parents, when we know possibly it's not the best style of parenting,
yeah,
we can still look behind why.
Oh, well, there's always a
There's
why.
always a why, isn't there?
100%.
And
Yeah.
although I think, although like you, I've worked in similar areas in Clapham
Yeah.
and in Croydon as well, is that although I've worked with lots of parents, I don't think I've ever come across a parent that didn't want to do better.
Oh, definitely.
And they were kind of, or they didn't want their kid to do better,
Yeah.
even the
There's
ones
only a
that were really
few I
struggling.
haven't. There's only a few that
Yeah,
just wanted their child to go into the same gang culture,
yeah,
or, and that's really tough when
yeah,
they've,
that is hard.
yeah, and you just think, why don't you want better?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, but yeah,
And I suppose it kind of leads me on to, Carl, I think, just to have a little chat, because I did a little intro at the beginning about, Carla's classrooms, but I wanted to kind of give you an opportunity at the end to talk a little bit about what it is you do at Carla's classrooms, because obviously I came to find Carla's classroom through my own son, and you're
maybe.
now a mentor for my son, and we wouldn't be without you. Not only for him, but also for me as a parent. We went through a really, really hard time, and you were there through all of that and saw us through the good bits and the very not so good bits. Um, and I
Mhm.
know that you have got, well, I'll probably stop talking actually, and I'm going to let you
Oh,
explain.
it's nice to hear,
Well, I
you
think it's
know,
just what I know
yeah,
that you offer a range of things, and although you
yeah,
get parents and kids that come to you that are looking to sit 11 pluses and things like that, and it's very exam related, you
yeah.
also, there's a big SEM part of what you do.
Yeah, that's probably more that way I'm going at the moment. So Carla's Classroom is just a an education hub, really, I would say. So I started it because I just became disillusioned with school teaching.
Mm,
Um, I just I love classroom teaching. I loved being a classroom teacher. It was just so much joy. But what I was finding was there's some cohorts of children that were just getting left behind.
yeah,
And it was just losing me sleep at night. And I just found the government was taking away my autonomy as a teacher. So when I first got into teaching, yes, there was a curriculum, but I could teach that as I wanted to teach it. And every year, the class is different. So one year you might have a real heavy SEN need, and one year you didn't. So I might have to teach that year very different to the next year. But now they're being so prescriptive, I have to teach the same every year, and it doesn't work. You
yeah,
have to allow the teacher to know their children and teach how they need to teach for that cohort of children. And it's not happening. And another thing that was happening it was that I was putting a lot of effort into my SEN children or my, English as a different language or whatever the need was for that child and really getting them to a good place, working with the parents, and then they'd go to another teacher and they wouldn't care. And it was just being dismantled, and you just see it being unraveled and then going back to square one. And then those parents would still be coming to me and going, they're not doing what you did for that child. They're not doing it. And then you'd end up, you can't put that teacher down
yeah,
because you can't be unprofessional,
yeah,
but really you
yeah,
want to just go, sort of thing. And then you can't still work with that child because you've got the next cohort in your class.
yeah,
So, and you just think, what's the point? What is the point? So I decided to set up my own business and teach the way I wanted to teach and teach the lessons that I enjoy teaching. So initially, I started doing 11 plus because
yeah,
that's what I'm really good at. And I wanted to because I saw what it did for Isabella and getting a free, I didn't pay it, by the way, people. I got a totally free place. I wanted to get other state school children or parents in my financial position into the free places because people didn't know about it. That's what I found out. They didn't know there were bursaries and scholarships. So that's what I wanted to do. So that's what I did. And in my first year, I got four children. No, I got six children into 100% free places. And then it just grew from there. Um, and then I wanted to get SEND children into these private schools because so many schools were going, well, they can't go to private school. They got ASD. I was going, yes, you can.
Yeah.
It's not a barrier. They're still intelligent. It's not, oh, they're dyslexic. They can't go. Yes, they can. Oh, well, they need to use a computer. They're not going to do it. Well, when they get to secondary school, they're going to be using laptops and iPads anyway. So of course they can go, sort of thing. So it's just that false information that's out there. I wanted to change the narrative and be a hub for parents to be able to come to me and to give correct information, basically. So then what started happening was, because I started working with SEND for 11 plus, people were going, oh, she's really good at SEND. Oh, can you just teach this child and this child? And I started getting all levels, because a lot of tutors won't do SEND because they're not specialist in it, and stuff.
Yeah.
So I just started taking it on, and now 60% of my cohort have an SEND need, or a behavioural need or mental health need. Obviously, it's, you know,
It all
mixed,
crosses over.
yeah,
Yeah.
together. Probably a bit more now. And that's what I do now. So we mainly teach English and maths. The homeschooling side is growing also, and the EOTUS. So we also do support EOTUS packages. So if your child has EHCP packages, we can support on that. And we also support mentoring, like I do for my lovely Max. So, and that can look at all types of different things. Like today, I've just been with a girl, talking her through a breakup with her boyfriend. It was very sad. And, sometimes they just need a different person to talk to. And it's really important, because they can't move on with their education while they've got something stuck in their head. And a lot of the time I'm working with parents, because parents need support, and they don't know what's out there. So yes, we've got all these like Surrey local offer, Croydon local offer, but when you first start down your journey, you don't know where that is.
Yeah.
A lot of parents don't know about Sendias and all these things. So it's coming to me and helping you. And also, I do find a lot of parents with SEND children, neurodivergent children, are neurodivergent themselves. So they get this form to fill in, and it's absolutely overwhelming. One, because they might be dyslexic like you, Liz, and it's like, oh my God, where do I start?
Yeah.
But also because they're mentally burnt out
Yeah.
from everything they're going through. So I'm that person who say, right, let's do it in stages together. Give me the information, even if you put it in bullet points, and I'll help you fill it out. So I'm kind of, that's what I do. I do consultancy work. I do just family support. I'm the person at the end of the telephone.
Finding the right person.
Yeah,
I joke about it, but my other son will go, I want a Carla.
yeah,
It's finding that right person that gets it. And I think, as part of, I think you're crucial to his the ATOS package, and it wouldn't have been as successful as it has been without you in it.
yeah,
But also I think, I'm thinking, when we were going through, tribunal and all that kind of stuff, how important you were to us as a family as well at that point, because I remember one of the things you said to me was his mental health is more important than his education at the moment, Liz. And that was a really hard shift for me to make at that time. And I was thinking, oh, I've got to get him in school. What about his learning? And what about GCSEs? And you were just going, we've got to sort out his mental health, because that's the most important. And when you're in it, and, I've got the background that I've got, Carla, and I work with the parents that I do, but when you're in it,
so hard.
it's so hard to see what you do, and you're overwhelmed and you're stressed or you're burnt out as a parent. And, you were, I talk about my safety circles, you were part of that safety circle and a support for me and our whole family. So I think, as you said, I think Carla will be around in our lives for a long, long time.
Well, considering he says I'm looking after his children.
Yeah. I love the fact he's got you on babysitting duty already, and he's not happy this morning, as I told you, didn't I, before we came on, because he was like, you've stolen Carla this morning.
Yeah.
So I'm in big trouble. Trouble.
Yeah. Bless him.
What I'm going to do, Carla, is bring it to a close there and say, thank you ever so much for coming on. We have great conversations, and I knew it was going to be a great one because we have
I
chats
don't
in
even
the
know what
car
we're
and stuff.
talking about. It's probably a load of rambling.
No, it's not. It's all structured and organised.
You sure? Between us two.
But it's been lovely to have you on. I'm hoping, it gives people something to think about. Those that maybe they've got kids that are a bit older, maybe those that haven't come across diagnosis until a bit later, or kind of like recognition that there could be a diagnosis until a bit later. The cultural side of things, the step parent side of things. There's so much in this episode that
Yeah.
I think people will get from, and I really appreciate you coming on to
No, it's
chat
been
with me.
lovely chatting to you.
You too.
I'm really enjoying this series. It's like so interesting.
Good. Well,
Yeah.
you're now part of it.
No, it's great.
All right, Carla. We'll
Take
see you
care. See you
soon. Take
next
care.
week. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Well, that's it for this episode of the Untypical OT Talks. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Whether you're walking the dog, folding laundry, or hiding in the toilet for 5 minutes apiece, and there's no judgment here, I'm glad you chose to spend your time with me today. If you're a parent or a carer of a child with additional needs and you're feeling overwhelmed, burnt out, or just like you need a bit of backup, I've got you. And I'm here to help you find a way through the trickier stuff, like behaviour and those moments when you feel like you might just run out of steam, so you can be the parent you want to be and take care of yourself too. Want to connect? You'll find me over on all the social media sites, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, where I share more tips, resources, and real talk. And hey, if this episode made you laugh, nod along, or feel a little less alone, why not buy me a coffee? Just click the link in the show notes. It's a small way to show your support and keep this podcast going. Take care of yourself today. You're doing an amazing job. Until next time, let's keep getting curious together.